Alright, so today we're talking about this piece of junk. Uh, Here's what just happened to it. This is the battery where it connects to the bike. Melted that. Here's the battery connector. Absolutely destroyed it. I tried to take it off the bike. What you gotta do is you gotta put the key in, twist it so it pulls this up, and then you push it forward. Well, it wasn't moving forward. So I just kept pushing on it, and finally it popped forward and it ripped the connector out of the battery. You can see the screws melted the plastic. If the screws themselves didn't melt because they're kind of bent, or maybe that's just the rubber. Yeah, all the rubber's melted off of there too. So that's junk. It was at 820 miles when that happened, and I mean, it just shut off. There was like no warning, there was nothing. I was just riding along, and all of a sudden, boop, just dead. And then other issues I've had with this bike, the front tire, the bearings on it came destroyed. Like, I mean, just all pitted and toasted. I took it into a bike shop, and he looked at it and he said it's past any kind of repair, and that was at like a couple hundred miles. Like, it wasn't even very far into it. And he said he would contact the manufacturer and see about getting a new rim, because obviously it was destroyed when they shipped it to me. And when I first got it, I turned the axle and it felt kind of clunky, but I didn't really think too much of it. Now I know it's just because it was trashed when I got it, but it still moves, I guess. It hasn't gone completely out or seized on me yet. And then after 50 miles, this thing that the pedals connect to went out after only 50 miles. And you see how much play it has? So, and then like 150 miles, the old tires right there were worn out, so I had to get new tires. I had to get a new one of these because they weren't wanting to send me one. And then before I could even message them back about the bottom bracket, because the first time I messaged them, they just never responded. And then I got somebody the next time, but they message you at like 3 in the morning because they're in China or wherever the hell they are. And by that time, the horn had stopped working. So I told them about that too. And then also the seat came with the front bolt of it completely stripped out and just like epoxied back in there. And I told them about that too. Okay? They offered to send me one thing. They're like, we can send you a new light, we can send you a new bottom bracket, or we can give you a discount on a new seat. I was like, the seat came from the manufacturer, defected. So did the front tire. And then the horn and everything, it just went out. Like, I was just riding it on the street. I wasn't even doing anything. And they didn't want to cover any of it, right? They didn't want to do nothing. And then they started offering me a trailer, like, hitch for it, or a hitch for your truck to carry it around, or this or that, because I told them I'd already spent $400 on trying to fix it. And they're like, oh, well, we can give you something worth $400 to, make up for it. I was like, how about you give me new parts for the bike? Or just give me a new bike, since the one you sent me was a piece of trash. And they didn't want no part of that at all. So then they sent me a new one of these, which I didn't even bother putting in. I put in a different one that I had bought, because the new one, you turn it and you can just feel it clunking along. So I was like, it's already trashed and it's brand new, I'm not going to put it in there. And so I put a different one in there, and the different one has held up for almost 800 miles. Haven't had a problem with it. And then What else? Oh yeah, the chain was kicking off because the crankset wasn't adjusted right. The back tire, the spokes keep coming loose over and over again, no matter how many times you tighten them. I even put Loctite on there, they still coming loose. And I mean, it just, the throttle sticks and everything, it's just a piece of junk. Like, genuinely just a piece of junk. And I imagine all of their products are the exact same way, because why wouldn't they be, right? And come over here and you look at this thing. So that's where your battery mounts, and I had to cut all the zip ties and everything off so I could unplug the battery from down there. And then, you know, that's your control box. Dogs. Right? Here's your control box. There's absolutely no padding or anything for any of the wires or nothing down there. Okay, so I thought one of the wires had worn through and it shorted out because there's nothing to protect the wires. But apparently not. Apparently the battery just melted. Luckily the battery didn't completely explode on me while I was out riding, because I didn't have the key to take the battery off. So I would have just, the bike would have been just burnt to the ground if that happened. But yeah, no, it's crap. And it says it has a 1,000-watt hub motor, and people were saying it could go up to like 42 miles an hour and had like crazy amounts of torque, like 100 Newton meters of torque or something, and this and that, and it's not even close. Like, not even close. It's like 30 Newton meters of torque. It tops out at like 27 miles an hour unless you're going downhill. The tire size, because I've got a speedometer on my phone that I downloaded, and I was checking it with the speedometer on there, and I had to adjust the tire size to get the speedometer to match, and then I figured out that it wouldn't even hit the top speed that it was saying it would unless you're going downhill. So, you know, it won't even go 28 miles an hour. It barely pulls hills. You go off-road at all, any kind of sand, anything, is done. It ain't moving. You gotta push it. Like, it can't even move itself through the sand. And it's just crap. I mean, genuinely, they hyped this thing up like it was some beast of a bike, and it started falling apart within 50 miles. You know, it was like 2 rides on the thing, and it started crapping out. And not only that, the battery life has dropped like crazy. You know, when I first got this, you could go 30, 35 miles before the battery was like, you know, completely dead. And now, one of the last times I rode it, I went 13 miles before it said the battery was dead. So, like, it has no range at all anymore. And it just crap. I mean, yeah. So what I'm gonna have to do is, I was gonna get a different hub motor and everything, because like I said, those spokes and everything just keep coming loose. Even when I Loctited them, they still coming loose. I don't know if they just keep stretching or what, but it's just, the new hub motor will come with a whole new rim and everything, and hopefully some beefier spokes or something. And then I need a new front tire too, because that rim is trashed, and it came trashed, and they won't replace it or even talk about it. Like, like I kept asking them, like, what about the tire? What about the seat? And they just wouldn't respond, right? Like, it was incredibly annoying. They're just like playing dumb, don't want to respond, don't want to say, oh yeah, we'll cover this or whatever. Because most of this crap gave out within like a couple months of owning this thing. The new tires I got off of Amazon, those are holding up great. You know, I got almost 700 miles on these tires. They need to be rotated, but other than that, they're fine. And yeah, yeah, piece of junk, man. And this isn't the only time I've had an issue with this battery, because after I was riding it for a little bit when I first got it, I noticed I couldn't like turn the handlebars, kept hitting the battery. So I was like, okay, let me take this battery off and check this mounting plate. I almost couldn't get the battery off because the mounting plate had slid forward so far, and you had to push the battery forward that it was like up against this, and it wasn't wanting to come off, right? And luckily I popped it off of there. And you come look at the mounting plate, you can see they were mounted all the way up front and they slid all the way back. So I tightened all that up, and all these, like, everything was loose. So I tightened everything up, you know, put it back on there, and it hasn't slid around since then. It just exploded on me, right? And you know, the wire, there's no like cuts or wear through or nothing on the wire that I can see. It just blew up. I don't know if it was because it was hot outside, because it was 92 degrees, but, and I wasn't like hammering on it or anything, you know, I was just riding around on the sidewalks. It's going about, you know, 15 miles an hour or so, if that, you know, I was just kind of cruising around, and it just, boop, just died. And and I felt the back motor, or the motor, after that, and that motor was pretty darn hot, which that motor normally doesn't ever heat up, but that day it was hot. So I don't know if the battery shorting out was causing the motor to heat up or whatever. The controller and all these wires and everything look fine, besides just, you know, no padding and starting to wear on things. So yeah, gonna have to probably buy all new crap for this bike. New motor, and when you get the motor, it comes with a controller and everything, and then I have to get a new battery. And the one I'm looking at, the motor's like $500, and then the battery is $1,100, and it's just you know, it's more than I spent on this bike. I spent $1,300 on this bike. And I mean, $1,300 for it to go bad within 50 miles is crazy. And trying to get that bottom bracket off, the original one, it was seized on there. Like, this side isn't too bad, the teeth aren't too chewed up. I wish I knew what happened to the other side of this. I'd show you, because it was completely stripped out, and I barely could get the damn thing off. And then I also figured out that they hadn't greased it at all. So if it had sat in there for any longer and this is starting to oxidize or rust or anything, this would have seized in there and I would have never got it out. So it's just junk, man. Don't buy Haoqi anything. Okay? That's all I can tell you, is just don't buy this cheap brand. They are junk. Alright, that's all I got today.